George MAARA wants to be the next senator of Kiambu County on a Jubilee ticket. Good morning, George.
Good morning to you, Eric.
Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. How was traffic this morning?
Very light. Of course, you can start to imagine that when you wake up at before 5 o'clock, I don't think there are many Nairobians who are up that early.
Yes.
If they are, the traffic was very light, so it was easy to get here.
Kiambu Road is usually crazy.
Yes.
I don't suppose you used Kiambu Road. You must have used other routes to get here.
I did, by the way. I
Yeah.
did. But again, like I say, the traffic was very light this morning. Of course, it was early.
It was
But
early
I guess by
enough.
now, traffic is picking up now, yes.
George, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for occupying the hot seat this morning.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the politics of Kiambu and, of course, talk about the politics of the country, because you want to be a senator that is in the national legislature. Who is George MAARA?
Thank you. My name is George MAARA, born and bred in Limuru. Went to school here in Nairobi at the Starehe Boys. I have a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Nairobi. I've been a businessman for the longest time in my life here in the insurance industry. But now I'm in politics, vying for the senatorial position in Kiambu. I want to serve my people of Kiambu as a second senator in the county. Yes, that's in brief is George MAARA. Yes.
Why politics?
Oh, well, I've always had the passion to serve my people. And in fact, I vied in the previous past for as member of parliament. But now there's a space for me to serve my people at even larger and wider space. So I took that opportunity, and I was able to get the Jubilee nomination. Now I'm the Jubilee candidate, and the Azimio coalition candidate for Kiambu County.
You said you vied in the past.
Yes, I did.
For which positions did you vie?
Member of Parliament, Limuru.
Member of Parliament.
Yes, I did, yeah.
And the people of Limuru at that particular point did not share the same vision as you.
Oh, well, they did, by the way. But you know, politics, there's always, there are many choices.
Okay, so what could have changed? Because for you to have persisted, there must be something you saw, as you've alluded to. You must have seen and understood. Perhaps your understanding of politics got better. What has changed? Because what you're gunning for now is a far more competitive. It involves a much larger area than just the constituency of Limuru. So what is it that gives you the confidence to feel that things have changed significantly to give you, should we say, a more pivotal position in actually getting this thing that you feel you have wanted to achieve for a long time?
First of all, like I said, I have the desire to serve my people. And by extension, not just the people of Limuru, the people of Kiambu, and by extension, the people of Kenya. So when that opportunity arose to serve a wider constituency, of course, I took advantage. And that's why I'm here now. Okay. Because I believe by being a senator, I will impact on not just Kiambu matters, but national matters as well. So that's passion, yeah.
So the senator holds a position of oversight,
Yes.
right? And so how do you feel that oversighting what others are actually doing then will really impact in the county, coming from the desire to serve the people?
First and foremost, the duties and responsibilities of the senator is to help enact bills and laws that will help govern and devolution. And as you know, devolution, now that we're in the devolved system, devolution is working in this country. And we need strong laws that will help, download devolution right down to the people down there. So my roles will be, of course, in addition to oversighting, to make sure that at the national level, counties are adequately funded. And as you know, there's this lobby, and I think we should continue to do that. That counties should be given at least 30 to 35% of the national GDP. So my role will be to make sure that there's sufficient funds being devolved right down to the counties, at all counties, not just Kiambu. And oversighting, because we've seen in the previous past, especially over the last 10 years, when we've been experimenting with the devolution, that sometimes these funds do not get down to the areas and to the people that they are meant to. So oversight is indeed is critical.
You know, when you talk about oversight, and especially now when you're talking about funds, several things that we've seen in the last 9 years of devolution. One, there's delays in disbursement of funds from the National Treasury to the counties. And then two, there's the issue of proper accounting for the monies that have actually been sent to the counties. If you look at very many counties, they have low absorption levels. Others have issues of integrity on how the money has been spent. As a senator, what role do you see yourself playing to make sure that, like you've just said, the money that is meant to go to Wanjiko in Lari, in Limuru, in Kiamaiko, or is it Kwamaiko? It's Kwa, goes to that person?
First of all, when it comes to the issue of disbursement, delay in disbursement, I suppose there's very little else, maybe at the Senate level I can do other than agitate, because this is an issue that sits squarely the Treasury. But of course, if you agitate and you bring out the problem, I think this is an issue that can be dealt with. When it comes to accounting, the senator has a serious oversight role. Yeah, and I think this is why that position was created, because without oversight, without control, it is possible for this country to go to the Nigeria way. You remember Nigerians, I don't know whether it still happens now, but there are times when governors in Nigeria, when they got their disbursements, would very quickly get on the planes and transfer the money into their foreign accounts and go for long extended holidays into UK, America, and so on and so forth. And we are lucky. This habit was not did not catch up in this country, and if it did,
it had a different name.
It's called benchmarking.
It's called benchmarking.
I think that particular horse has already bolted. If the hope is being kept alive, I think it's a bit late in the game for that.
I think here we're lucky here that we've been able to deal with those kind of issues. If you look at the cases that are in court are involving our erstwhile governor, and I don't think I want to mention his name here. You can tell that at least there's some law is being followed here. He's not been allowed to just walk away with the loot, like the Nigerian.
When MAARA, you've been in business.
Yes.
It's not possible to be in business and to be in business successfully if you're not disciplined and if you don't understand your trade well.
Absolutely.
Now, when you vie for a position of a senator, and the primary role of senators, as we say, is that of oversight. From where you sit, do you think this particular sitting of senators that are now vying, who are now in the cold, do you think they did a good job of oversighting the counties, in your opinion?
So some of them, I don't think I want to condemn them holistically. Some of them did, and others did not. Of course, in the last parliament, there are many people who sat in there and they did not understand their roles. And that includes sitting members of parliament and some even in the Senate. But there are those who understood their role, and they came out in the defense of the Constitution, devolution, and their people. Those who participated in impeachment, seriously in impeachment issues, you can tell that they wanted to help curb some of these malpractices. But there are those who just sat on the wayside and just watched. So there are those who are active and help this nation. And that's why you saw some few cases, no, maybe not many, but that's why you saw cases of governors being put on trial. And some of them were actually impeached.
Let me explain why I'm asking the question. With the exception of counties that I can count on just the fingers of one hand, with the exception of those counties where the governors seem to understand their role and are able to even fulfill those roles, very many counties in this country had governors who seem to be chasing their tails for the 5 years, some for 10 years. Because if you look at the track record, vis-a-vis the amount of money in billions, if not hundreds of billions of shillings spent, there is very little to show where that money actually went. But it was spent nonetheless. And the Auditor General's reports are full of queries within these counties. Now, that's why I ask, if the Senate was doing what it was supposed to do, how do you have, because the anomaly doesn't occur just once every 5 years, it's continuously for 5 years. Now, if they couldn't curb this, because oversight enables you to curb, and the net result of this is that the people of these counties simply were denied what was due to them, and the very thing for which the monies were given, because the monies didn't achieve what they were supposed to achieve.
Correct.
Now, when you become senator, I'm being prophetic here, what do you think it is that you plan to do that will be different, and that will ensure that the people of our counties actually get what they're supposed to get? But more importantly, that the sort of governors whom we have, many of whom in this particular this past 5 years have actually been outstanding in their incompetence, that we do not have people of that sort darkening our paths in this country again. Because you can't have that amount of money being given to people who are not competent. It is wrong.
You know, this is a problem that starts all the way from down there.
Yes.
Because the governors and the senators, for that matter, are a product of the people. It's we get what the people choose. So if you, like in the computer language, if you put in garbage, you get that garbage. Garbage out, yeah. So these governors are a product of the people themselves. But this is where the Senate comes in. Senator comes in. If the senator understands his oversight role, then they'll be able to drastically reduce some of these malpractices. And one of the things I intend to do is regularly consult and sit with the county assembly and the governor, just to make sure that these funds that are devolved to the governor are actually put to use for the purposes that they are meant to. Because if you are detached, then that is when you have a few problems. And of course, you do know that in a lot of instances, the senator and the governors don't see eye to eye. In fact, for a lot of senators, it looks like the Senate seat is a stepping stone to the gubernatorial seat. And that creates a lot of tension.
Is the cat out of the bag, George? Is that where you're headed?
No, absolutely not. But I'm not.
That's a strategy.
I'm talking about
Other people except yourself.
other people. What was actually what
The
has actually
perception
happened.
out there.
If you look at what has happened, most of the outgoing senators want to be governors. Okay, so if there were any oversight roles, they were done with from at the behest of their own personal interests.
Right.
Yes, but that's not where I'm headed. But if it is, so be it. But time will tell.
Why you for this position of senator? What is it peculiar or unique about you that you feel you could fill the shoes of this role well?
Well, this is about leadership. As I say, I have real life experience. I've been a businessman, and I have passion both in terms of politics, leadership, and of course, trying to see that things are done in the right way. I have no issues when it comes to integrity issues. So I believe I'm well suited to serve as a Senate. And I'll take my role of as a senator and oversight very, very, very seriously, because I've seen what has happened. And as I say, if a senator does not understand his role, then you'll have a lot of problems. And those problems impact negatively on the way funds are dispersed at the county level.
Sure, you talk about funds being dispersed to the county level. What would be done differently that is not being done now? What goes to the counties is what we're told is often available coming from the National Treasury. That is what is available. They may delay every now and then, but the funds eventually get to county. What would be different that you hope to push?
I think first of all, one of the reasons one of the things that we want to do is make sure that there's sufficient funds being sent down to the counties. And I think that is important, because some of the functions that at the county were devolved from the central government to right down to the county. And we need to fund the county sufficiently so that they're able to carry out their mandates. We also need to encourage them to strengthen the other sources of revenue. There are many other sources of revenue. And although this is strictly the governor's role, but we also need to encourage them at all levels.
Maybe give ideas, for example?
Give ideas, yes.
Okay, so what are some ideas that you think could fill in the gap of own source revenue within the counties? What are some things, apart from the things that we see on a normal basis, business licenses, etc., that make up the bulk of own source revenue? What other things could bring in revenue to the county, aside from what comes in from the Treasury?
Of course, one of the main things is that we want to encourage investment at the county level. And how do you do this? Streamline the licensing laws so that they encourage. If you look at our county, Kiambu, there are times in the past when we had a lot of industries coming into Kiambu. In fact, a town by the name of Thika was actually nicknamed, and aptly so, Birmingham of Kenya. So now it's no longer Birmingham of Kenya. It's probably something else, but it is possible to get it back to be a Birmingham of Kenya. And this needs to be looked at holistically. What do we want there? Improve infrastructure, the licensing bit, and get a lot of land available, okay, and other incentives. So it is possible. And when you do this, you're not only increasing revenue for the county, you're also creating jobs at the county level. These are some of the measures that we need to put in place so that the county can increase revenue. And of course, the other thing is that you lower the licenses. If you lower licenses, it is possible then to trap a little bit more, a wider trading group than just pushing a few traders and with high licenses. They will avoid or evade. So if you lower licenses and encourage all traders to pay, it is possible then that you widen your revenue streams.
George, we have very many questions. In fact, even some of them coming on social media, and we'd like to delve into those as we continue the conversation. But we want to take a break now. It's 7:30. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation on SpiceFM, live streaming on YouTube, SpiceFM KE, on Facebook, SpiceFM KE, and our website, www.spicefm.co.ke.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
George MAARA, who is a Jubilee senatorial candidate for Kiambu County. George, Kiambu in the last 2 terms, 1 senator, 3 governors. There's a lot that appears to be happening in Kiambu. Impeachment of a governor, impeachment of CEC members, back and forth, attempts to even remove a speaker of the county assembly. The politics of Kiambu is high tempo.
First of all, it's very unfortunate. Our first governor was able to serve at least his first term for the first 5 years. We had the second governor who was not able to. Of course, for reasons that are very well in the public domain, he was impeached. Now we have the third governor who is vying for the second term, his second term to be, so to speak. But it is indeed very, 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 very disappointing, because Kiambu, as it is the second largest county, both in terms of population, even if you look at the GDP, after Nairobi, and we should be far away from where we are. But I guess those are politics, but politics can also be fixed. That is why we are offering ourselves, so that you can try and fix some of those problems. And one of the reasons I'm there, and I want to vie, is to make sure that even at the county level, I become a voice of reason, because some of these things can be tackled at the very local level. If the senator is present, even in matters of the county, then you're able to pick up some of what is happening. You talk to the governor, you talk to the members of the county assembly, and you're able to arrest some of these situations right at the beginning. Because when you go the impeachment way, when you have fights, when you have battles, the first thing that happens is that development is put at the backseat, and fighting, and sometimes even corruption sets in. And this works, of course, to the disadvantage of the county and the residents of the county. So I want to be a voice of reason, and constantly liaise with the governor and the members of the county assembly, so that at least we can see if we can address some of these problems before they become the mountains that they are in terms of trouble. And in that, I think I want tell the people of Kiambu. I know the Constitution reserves a position of the senator in the county, and I'll constantly and regularly go to the county to make sure that I'm in touch with what is happening at the county.
What would you say are some of the problems that the county is experiencing today that need immediate action? Claw back on some of the mistakes made and then often or maybe create an atmosphere of development for the future?
First of all, I think we've got to look at the people that we're electing. If you put the wrong person at the right place, then you definitely start with problems. I think, and I think, I don't know how I'm going to put this, because the electorate needs to understand this. If you put in a governor who does not understand his role, who does not appreciate how important the county is, then you're starting at on the wrong foot. At the governor level, you've also got to be focused for yourself and have focus and have the capacity to be able to think even beyond outside the box in terms of development. Then there's the issue of corruption, because we set in devolution, but we never set in good laws to be able to curb and contain corruption. So we ended up devolving corruption. So one of the issues that the governors have to deal with at the local level is corruption. And those are the problems that now manifest themselves to the level and extent that you find governors being impeached. Sometimes being held ransom by the members of the county assembly, because some of them want a little bit more than they're entitled to, and they push the governor to levels and extents that he probably is not able to.
But what are the problems that Kiambu County is facing today that need good governance structures to be able to deal with? If you were to hear the voice of the pulse or the pulse of the people on the ground, what would they say their needs are? What would they say the issues that need attention at the county are today?
The issues are many. First of all, let's start with the issue of health. And I think it's important to state here that when you have a healthy nation, a healthy population, then that translates to a healthy nation. We need to seriously address the issues of health. I don't think the kind of health issues that we are facing at the county level need a radical change, the way we're looking at them, the way we want to address them, because people down there, there's a lot of sickness. People are sick, and then it's expensive. It's very, very, very expensive. So we need to look at it differently, and that's why I'm saying we need a lot more money coming in from the national government, so that our people, the issue of health, can be addressed in a more serious way. There's also the issue of education. A lot of our children are out of school because education is starting to become out of reach for them. There's also the issue of unemployment. I don't know what we are going to do, but we need to sit down seriously at the county level, even at the national level, because when you look at Kiambu, we have hundreds and thousands, maybe millions of youths who are out of employment. It's a serious problem, and it's a ticking time bomb. There's the issue of alcoholism. It's rampant, and it's to levels that I think we need to seriously look at it, maybe declare it a disaster in Kiambu. Those are some of the issues. And of course, we have issues on infrastructure, we have water issues, and all these need to be addressed. That is why we need a lot more revenue coming in from the national government.
What do you mean by that?
And of course, improvement.
When you say a lot more revenue, we saw the debate in the Senate with the allocation of revenue and the formula. And there's been a push by some legislators for 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. Others are saying 1 kilometer, 1 shilling. Where do you stand on that divide?
Mine is 1 vote. 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling.
Why?
I think, to me, that is a better way to equitably distribute resources. Yeah, I think if you look at the people of Kiambu, we are many in terms of population. But when it comes to the funds that we receive, if you distribute it, surely, if you compare it to other counties, a person in Kiambu probably be receiving 100 shillings, whereas somebody else maybe in another county will be receiving maybe 1,000 shillings or even maybe a lot more. And the problems and the needs are basically more or less the same. It's not to say that just because Nairobi, Kiambu is endowed with agriculture and a bit of and some businesses that we don't have needs. We have needs. And our needs are just as much as those as other people in other counties. So that is why I would strongly advocate for the 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling policy.
How do you deconstruct this perception out there? That for the longest time, even people when they're going out to campaign, when you're talking about privilege, you say Kiambu. If they want these things, let them go to Kiambu. There's that, perception that Kiambu is privileged to produce the first president. It had many ministers. It has produced vice president. It has produced a second president. Kiambu is the proximity to Nairobi. Kiambu in terms of national schools distribution within Kiambu. How many universities are in Kiambu? If you look at how many hospitals are in Kiambu, the agricultural land that you're talking about, the commercial land that you're talking about, Kiambu is privileged.
You're talking about the industry.
Thika and the rest, and Juja and all.
So some of these are historical in the sense that Kiambu is very close to the capital city of this country. The others, of course, and I think this is true. For the longest time, the Kikuyu people have had this culture that they want to invest in education and they want to invest in business. So that becomes a culture, okay? It has nothing to do with favorism. It's just the way people are wired, okay? And I think people if you look at people say in around Banana, for them they'll put more emphasis on business than maybe education, okay? So you can't fault them for trying to own parts of Nairobi or doing business in Nairobi or other parts of the country, because that is the way they are wired.
But when you go to the Senate, MAARA, and you're having a conversation and a debate with your fellow senators, some from those historically marginalized counties, how would you justify saying that you want more money to go to Kiambu, yet somebody from Marsabit County, the largest county in landmass in this country, they have never had the things that you're talking about here? For the longest time, the children of Marsabit, when they were going to the best school, they'd go to Isiolo.
It is true that for some time some of these areas were marginalized, and again these are historical facts. But I do know for sure, starting with the Kibaki government, a lot of emphasis was put in to bring in all people together, and I think, and that is true even with the Uhuru government. There's development taking place literally everywhere, but of course, like I say, they say Rome was not built in a day. So even these places will catch up at some time. There's the issue, of course, distances. There's a cultural issue again. Okay, there are areas and there are people who are receptive to business and business ideas than others. Okay, like I say, people in Banana and Muranga area. Okay, for them it's business. Their mind is wired in a business way. So you can't fault them. So I'm sure even with time, like I say, Rome was not built in a day. People in Marsabit will start to feel and experience the effects of devolution, the good government, and these developments are being taken to the areas.
One of the things that is interesting about our country, and I'm glad you have actually conceded that certain parts were marginalized. Actually, historically, certain parts of this country were favored. Yes, and they were favored by policy. We had sessional papers that determined how development should come to the country, following the railway line. Written, not something that people talked about as hearsay, fact. Now, again, you are right when you say devolution sets us on a path where some of these wrongs can actually be put right. But they cannot be put right just by allocating money. And, I'm hesitating because I'm trying to piece this argument in my head. Every time this subject comes up and we have guests in the studio, they always go back to say that, the politicians are a product of the society that they live in. And so essentially, if there's a problem with the way we govern ourselves, it's the problem of the voter. I actually beg to disagree. Because the voter votes with hope. And the voter hopes that the person they have voted for is the person who will lead. Little emphasis is put on the role of leadership. Because people who aspire to these positions, when they get them, they seem to think that leadership involves lordship, where you lord it over people. You are a mild form, very mild form of a dictator, and that it is you who decides what should happen, and never considering what it is that the people actually need and doing it. They talk about it. It is because of this that, again, I'm a dog with a bone on this one. The role of oversight becomes really important. Because oversight calls it out and says, this is what ought to be happening. It's not happening. This is what you said was going to happen. It's not happening. Very few senators do that. And to our disappointment, even when there are cases that committees have been formed within the Senate to discuss these matters, when it comes to the outcome, it's an absolute letdown. The suggestions that they make, the action that they suggest should be taken, you actually wish they hadn't gone into the bother of investigating the issue. Because it amounts to, it's a zero-sum game. Now, you want to be senator of perhaps the best-known county in this country. Kiambu is known, it's known more than any other county in this country. What are you going to do? Yes, you will point out. Yes, you will meet with your people. Yes, you will talk. But how will you influence policy that will guarantee that not only Kiambu County benefits, but that the rest of the country also benefit from this county system?
First of all, I want to say that I'll be a servant leader. And I think it's important to also listen to the people. But even in listening, you must also offer leadership, because that is what leadership is all about. If you're a leader that just listens and you're not even providing leadership, then it itself is worthless. That leadership is worthless. But I must admit, the last 10 years have been a learning curve for us. We've been learning. We've just downloaded the devolution over the last 10 years. And in fact, lots of it are still being downloaded. So we are not there. We are not yet there. Okay? And I guess this is where you start to see all these problems. In fact, it was like a case of putting the cart before the donkey or the horse. We should have first of all started with the serious laws. Look at the laws that will govern devolution, and then now implement devolution. And we should even have given ourselves an extra 5 years or 10 years. And in doing so, then we would have started it on the right foot. Now we have ourselves in a situation where we have devolution, and all these mistakes are occurring. Now we're rushing back to start to write laws that will govern devolution, and of course there will be resistance. And that I think is the biggest problem. That I think is the biggest problem. We should have started with the laws, then now implement devolution. Okay, but as you rightly put, it is important. Because without the Senate, then devolution does not work. Okay, devolution will not work. Some people may even want to argue that the functions of a senator can perhaps be best done in a committee in Parliament, but that is not possible. That is not possible. Again, some of the issues that we have in Parliament. Okay, we will never even be able to effectively implement devolution. So it is important to have the Senate, but in doing so, we must also give the Senate some teeth so that we can deal and help in the implementation of devolution as desired by the people of Kenya and the Constitution. The senators that we send there must also understand their role. Because it's not just good, it's not enough to say I want to become a senator. You must also understand the duties, the responsibilities, the functions of the Senate. If you do, then you're in a better position to start executing your duties and responsibilities as a senator in the Senate.
MAARA, would you say you're a courageous person?
Well, yes, there are many more attributes to be, but courage is one of them, because politics, you have to be courageous to be in politics, especially in the Kenyan context.
There's a reason why I ask if you're a courageous person, because the qualities you mentioned may not be lacking in many individuals who end up in the Senate. Courage is the one thing many of them don't have. They have very elastic backbones when it comes to decision making, and they are pliable and they move. They actually stop becoming human beings, become wind vanes. The way they just flutter around in the wind. So, to the point where you're actually confused and you wonder, what did we elect? Courage, you say teeth. No one's going to give it to you. You have to have the courage to fight for it and to get it.
Correct. Yeah.
Because the National Assembly is not going to cede power willingly.
No, they will not.
So
We've seen that.
that's why I said, I asked you if you have courage, because it requires a serious backbone. Not the elastic kind that moves from direction from one place to the other.
Well, they say that power is not given.
It never is.
It never is.
It
We have to
never,
fight for it.
ever given.
And if we have to fight for devolution, because devolution means, well, not just for the people of Kiambu, but for the people of Kenya. And if devolution is going to work, because we can start to see the good things that devolution has done. The government is closer to the people than it has ever been. You know, in the olden days, there were funds, but these funds were devolved into people's pockets. Now, people, even that right down at village levels, can be able to sit and make decisions on how their funds are going to be used when they do get to them. So, as you say, I have the teeth, I have courage, and I'll fight for people of Kiambu. And I know that when I do so, I'll do so by extension, fighting for the people of Kenya.
How would you want the people to hold you accountable to these words that you speak today? How would you like them to come back to you and say, you know what, George, you said you were going to do this, and you haven't? What do you think then would be the requisite action for inaction on your part?
First of all, this is my first term. This will be my first term. And definitely, if I want a second term, I must be able to be seen. I must be seen to be able to deliver on my words. So I'll definitely do deliver. And like Muga says, I have the courage.
So in the perchance that you do not, how would you like the people to hold you accountable?
I don't think I want to use that word, I will not, because I'm sure I have the capacity to be able to deliver on exactly what I'm talking about. I've been able to do so in the previous past, even as a social leader. So I think even for me, this one, all I need is the opportunity to be able to serve my people, and by extension, the people of Kenya as a senator. And I am sure, I'm confident that I'll be able to deliver.
I want to ask you the final question. You are vying on a Jubilee ticket.
Yes.
Jubilee, UDA, those two are really down for a battle in Kiambu. And not just Jubilee, UDA. In fact, let's just say Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. How is it playing out right now? What's the ground looking like? Be honest.
No, I'll be very absolutely honest here, Eric, because at the beginning of the year, it was very difficult to stand even in a crowd of 10 people and say that you are a Jubilee supporter, let alone even mention the name Raila. You know, those were the formative stages of Azimio. But today, you can confidently stand, and out of 10 people, 7 people will tell you, yes, I'm an Azimio person. What am I saying? If they say that the mountain has shifted to whatever else that it said it had gone to, it has come back to where it should be. And now we're able to sell Jubilee, Azimio, and Raila very, 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 very confidently. In fact, Raila is now at the top of the mountain. That is the truth on the ground. It has moved, it has shifted, yes. And I'm sure that our coalition will be winning these elections by 6 o'clock on the 9th of August.
Oh, the polls open at 6.
In the evening. That is PM. Thank you for that. By 6 o'clock. 6 p.m. on the 9th of August. We'll have crossed the 60%
Threshold.
Yes.
George, we thank you very much.
But there's something I've wanted to say.
Yes.
Because I think these are, even as we close, are we closing?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Because there's something I would have wanted to say. First of all, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to come and talk to my people. But secondly, there's something that is that has a bit uplifting this morning. You know, Kenyans, we've just talked about many problems, the Unga politics, the Unga problems, so on and so forth. But waking up this morning, I saw that one of our ladies, Faith Kipyegon, had won the 1,500 meters in Oregon. That is something to cheer us up, especially after what happened with Omanyala.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to congratulate Faith and all those other athletes, Corinne and so on and so forth, and those others are lined up today and tomorrow for their races, and we want to congratulate them. And this is one area that where we all Kenyans unite and celebrate our Kenyanness. And I think it's something that is very uplifting.
Very true.
I want to congratulate those people.